In this video, I'll go over everything you need to know about Tradeify's funding program. The different type of accounts they offer, the drawdown limits, the payout rules, the scaling plans, and everything you need to follow in order to get paid and stay consistent. Whether you're looking to pass an eval or get immediately funded, this video will give you a clear picture of how it works. Let's get right into it. Now let me go over the type of accounts they offer. So right here we have the advanced accounts, we have the 50K, the 100K, and the 150K accounts. The advanced accounts are accounts where you need to pass an evaluation, then you need to pay an activation fee, all right? Which is completely different than the growth and straight to sim funded accounts. The 50K account costs $69 per month, the 100K is $109, and the 150K is $129 per month. You have to understand that these are not the real prices. These are the prices without the discount. If you use code AMOS, you have access to up to 40% discount on your first purchase and 30% off on all accounts all the time. Okay, use code AMOS for the biggest discount ever. Let's use the 50K as an example. So your profit target is $3,000. Okay, you need to make $3,000. You have access to 5 minis. You have no daily loss limits right here. Your drawdown, this is something I need to talk about. Your drawdown is different on the advanced accounts than on the growth and the straight to sims. On the advanced accounts, we have a trailing max drawdown of $2,000 and a drawdown mode being intraday. What does that mean? It means that your drawdown is based on your equity. So let's say you enter a trade and with a fresh account, so it was at 50K, then you put on a trade and it was up $800. You decide to not take profits and putting your stop loss to break even, then price shoots down and hit your stop loss to break even. What is it going to do? You will basically lose $800 of drawdown because your equity, your highest equity on the day was 50,800. Okay, that means that it's not an end of day drawdown, it's an intraday trailing drawdown, which is a little bit harder, but the account is a little bit cheaper. You have a 1 day to pass, so this is a huge advantage that Tradeify gives you, is that you have access to 1 day to pass accounts. What does that mean? It means that if you can afford those accounts, you can enter with heavier size trying to pass those accounts quicker. Okay, you have the access to pass those accounts in 1 day and put on a little bit more size if you have the capital to do so. Okay, if you don't have the capital to do so, relax and take it slow. Now you have a reset fee of $45 and an activation fee of $125. So if you use code AMOS, this account right here, the 50K account, will cost you $48 per month. And as soon as you pass it, deciding if you want to enter aggressively or passively, you have to pay an activation fee of $125 to activate the account and be funded. Let's talk about the growth accounts. We have the 50K, the 100K, and the 150K account. So the difference with the growth and the advanced is that the growth account does not have any activation fees. Okay, it doesn't have any activation fees. The account costs a little bit more in the beginning, so it's $139. With code AMOS, it's $97. Okay, but you don't have to pay any activation fees. So on the advanced accounts, let's go back here. Right here, it was 48 plus 125. Okay, when you pass the account. The growth is only 97. It's only 97. So in terms of return on investment, if you pass this evaluation on the first or the second try, it's a better initial investment than the advanced. That's for sure. Okay, it's $97 per month. You have a $3,000 profit target. You can also use 5 contracts. You have on this account a daily loss limit, which is a soft breach of 1,250. What is a soft breach? It means that it will close your account on the session that you were trading, and then you will be able to trade on the next session. Okay, your max drawdown is 2,000, so even if you lose 1,250 on the day, you still have $750 left of drawdown. The drawdown mode is totally different. It's end of day. So let me use the example that I used on the advanced. Let's say you have a fresh account, you enter a trade and it was up $800 in profits. You decide to put your stop loss to break even, then pulls back down, hits your stop loss to break even. What does that do? Nothing, because the drawdown is end of day and not intraday trailing, okay, which is totally different. So right here, you could definitely put your stop loss to break even without being scared, or letting runners without being scared. The minimum trading day again is 1 day, which is again a super huge advantage on other firms that require 2-3 days and 50% consistency inside the eval. It is way easier to get funded with Tradeify than another firm, let's say eval wise. Why? Because you have access to 5 contracts and you have access to 1 data pass. If you can understand the edge that firm gives you with that 1 data pass, it can open up a lot of doors for you. The reset fee though is $85, but there's no activation fee. So this account, in terms of return on investment, it costs $97 per month, which is way cheaper than the 50K advanced. Why? Because the 50K advanced is 48 plus 125, which is $173 if you get funded first try, and the growth is 97, all right, which is almost 50% less than the advanced. Now let's talk about the best accounts that you can ever purchase, in my opinion, which is the straight to sim funded accounts. What are those accounts? They are accounts that you don't even need to pass an evaluation to get funded. I know that it may sound too good to be true, but this is actually real. This is something that is totally new and that came around this year by Tradeify. So right here we have the 25K, the 50K, the 100K, and the 150K. So right here I'm going to talk about the 50K and the 150K and what is the difference between those. All right. So on the 50K straight to sim funded account, it costs $509 and it's a one-time fee. All right. So if you use code AMOS, 30% off. So $509 right here times, it costs 356 USD for one account. But as soon as you pay that 356 USD, you're immediately funded. All right, you're immediately funded. You don't even ask any questions. You have an account that you could start making money on it immediately, which is something that no other firms will give you for now. Okay, you have access to 5 minis. You have a daily loss limit of $1,250, end of day drawdown of $2,000, which is the same kind of drawdown as the growth, which is the best kind of drawdown that you can have. You have also a minimum trading days to payout of 10, and you have a 20% consistency rule. What is a 20% consistency rule? It means that your biggest trade cannot be more than 20% of your profit target to get paid. On the 50K straight to sim funded account, the profit target to get paid is $3,000. All right, $3,000. You need to make $3,000. And if you want to respect that 20% consistency rule, then you can never make more than $600 in a singular day. That gives a certain difficulty to that account, that's for sure. But if you have a good risk approach and you have a good strategy, that 20% consistency will just prevent you to not gamble, okay? It is just a consistency rule basically is something that will help you to follow your rules, never deviate from your risk management, all right? You're not supposed to make 50% of your account in one trade. Remember that. This is not a casino. This is a prop firm that you want to, prove to yourself that you have enough data, you have a good strategy, and you can execute that strategy on that prop firm so they can put you in a live account, okay? One thing that is also incredible about Tradeify is that you have access to 5 accounts, okay? So tomorrow you can decide to buy 5 50K straight to sim funded accounts or 550K straight to sim funded accounts, and you would have access to such huge amounts of drawdown compared to what you would have access on a live account with that initial investment. Okay, let's say you decide to buy 5 50K accounts, okay, straight to sim funded accounts, which means that you would have to pay $356 times 5, which is $1,781 of initial investment. But you have access to $2,000 of drawdown times 5, which is $10,000 worth of drawdown for an initial investment of 1.7K, which is incredible. Now let's talk about the payout rules of the advanced and growth accounts. So right here, as soon as you pass your evaluation on the advanced, you would need to pay $125 of activation fee, and under your growth account, you would immediately get funded. First thing you need to know is that as soon as you get funded, you need to abide by the 35% consistency rule. What is a 35% consistency rule? You need to know that you cannot make more than 35% of your profit target for you to request a payout. So let's say on a 50K account, we will see it a little bit later, but on a 50K account, for you to get paid, you would need $2,100 of profits to request a $1,500 payout. So your biggest day cannot be greater than $735. This prevents gambling and oversizing, so it's just a good rule. You need to trade 10 days before requesting any kind of payout. Also, right here, you have a minimum account balance needed to request payouts. This is what we're going to see here. So on the advanced and on the growth accounts, they're a little bit different. On the 50Ks, they're the same, but the bigger the account, the harder it becomes to get a payout on a certain account. So the minimum balance needed is different. So let's use here the advanced. On a 50K account, you would need to make $2,100 to request a $1,500 payout. Then on a 100K advanced account, you would need a $3,100 minimum balance. So you would need $3,100 of profits with a $3,000 drawdown, okay, intraday trailing drawdown, to request a 2K payout. And then on a 150K account, you would need $4,600 of profits with a $4,500 of intraday trailing drawdown to request a $2,500 payout. You have the growth accounts, which is in my opinion better than the advanced depending on your approach, but on the 50K it's exactly the same as the advanced. So you have a $2,100 profit target to request a $1,500 payout. On the 100K growth account, the profit target, so the minimum balance needed to request a payout, is higher than the 100K advanced, but you have also access to more drawdown. So right here, the profit target is 3,600, and the trailing max drawdown, which is end of day rather than equity based, which is intraday, right here on the advanced, end of day $3,500, which in some sort of ways is a easier way to get a payout than on the advanced, depending on your strategy. Then we have the 150K. You have to make $5,100 to request a $2,500 payout with a $5,000 end of day drawdown. Okay, on the 100K, I didn't say it, but you can request $2,000 of payout. You don't even have any payout windows anymore, so you can always request a payout. You just have to make sure that you have all your days traded and you respect the consistency rule. Now let's talk about this table right here because it's super important. If you request more than one payout, you have access to a larger payout once you request it. So right here, let's say you have a 50K account. Your first payout is $1,500, but then if you did not blow that account, you kept trading on it and you qualified for a second payout, now you can ask for 1,750, right? It goes really fast, especially on the 150K. Let's say here you have access to $2,500 on your first payout, then $3,000 on your second, 3.5K on your third, 4K on your fourth, 4.5 on your fifth, and 5.5 on your sixth, which after that you would be put into a live account. Now let's talk about the payout requirements for straight to sim funded accounts. So right here we have the consistency rule of 20%, which means that your biggest trade cannot be greater than 20% of your profit target. So right here you also have a minimum trading day of 10 before requesting a payout, and the profit goals are different. So let's see here the profit goals. So let's use the 50K and 150. So for you to request your first payout on a 50K account, you need to make $3,000 of profits with a 20% consistency rule. What does that mean? It means that your biggest trade cannot be more than $600, all right? So you need to make $3,000, then you can request a $2,000 payout. Then if you keep that account and you request another payout, as soon as you can make 2K, you can request another 2K payout. So right here, this is why the payout to profit goal is 2,000 rather than 3,000, because that $1,000 of drawdown left on the first payout is still counted as profits that you've made. On the third payout, it's the same, so you would need to make $2,000 again. On the 150, it's different. You need to make $9,000 at first, all right, to get your first payout, which is a $3,000 payout. Then for you to request your second payout, you would need to make $4,500, and then for you to request your third payout, you would need to make $3,000. Now let's take a look at the payout tiers here. So the minimum payout is $1,000 on straight to sim funded accounts. You can have up to 4 payouts on a straight to sim funded account before getting put into a live account. So on your first 3 payout on a 50K account, it will be $2,000 payouts, and then on your fourth, it will be a 2.5K payout. On a 150K account, your first 3 payouts will be $3,000, and then your fourth will be a $3,500 payout. But as soon as you get that fourth payout right here on those accounts, you will be put in a live account with bonuses. Once you get put into a live account, so after 4 payouts with Tradeify straight to sim funded accounts and 6 payouts with advanced and growth accounts, you would have 50% of your account balance available after 10 trading days, and 5 of those days needs to be above $200 of profits, and then you would have access to 100% of the balance of your live account after 30 days of $200 profits. After this video, I hope you guys understood that straight to sim funded accounts is possibly the best thing that ever happened to us traders, because we tend to, lose sight of how much money we actually spend on evaluations, because it's $50 here, $70 there, $125 of activation fee here, and then if you truly look at your bank account and the amount of money that you lost trading evals and not following your rules, then it's the same amount or twice as much as buying a straight to sim funded account. All right. And also, one thing I dislike about evaluations is the fact that nobody takes them seriously because they're cheap and people want to pass them after 1 day or 2. You will be placing trades that are not necessarily your strategy, or you will enter with a size that is not respecting your risk management rules. So what will it do? You will start building bad habits, and then once you will get put into a funded account, you will keep doing those mistakes. All right. So what I like about straight to sim funded accounts is that it replicates a live account immediately with an initial investment that is 10 times less than with a live account. So I thank you guys so much for listening to this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Use code AMAS for the biggest discount on Tradeify, 30% off all accounts and 40% off your first purchase. So I thank you guys so much, and I see you guys on the next one. Peace out.